tulips since 1948. This year we are taking it a year off. It's definitely emotional. I remember the first time I was at Chelsea, I was 5 years old, so quite a long time. A lot of it is due to the rain that we've had. It has affected about a quarter of the tulips that we go for the show. About 25,000. I mean, it has rained almost non-stop since January. They're quite happy with a wet spring, but they don't like to sit in it. The rain has just sucked this year.
I'm now on my way past the Japanese garden, completely singing, to meet Lynn Moore of Moore on Moore Plants. Her company specialises in shade and woodland plants. We've got some foxgloves here, some ferns, some beautiful geraniums. It really does look stunning. But you have had a difficult time of late because of the weather. We really struggled the winter of 2021-22. We went from a very, very, very mild autumn, and in the November we were still in the 20s, and then almost overnight we went into quite heavy frosts. I think the shock of that, then prolonged sort of cold and wet, I think that just was enough really. We lost 2 collections of plants completely. It was probably a loss of between 20 to 25,000 pounds. How can a business like yours sustain that? It was heartbreaking, to be honest, and some varieties just are not commercially available. So I'm working with a collection holder to try and re-establish those. We didn't have any show plants, and no stock plants at all. But there's lots of lessons that we learned from that.
Lynn Moore, and for more of our coverage of flowers and plants, just look at BBC Sounds and search for Farm Today. Now next week marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Landowners, farmers and their families played a vital role in the crucial months leading up to it. Large parts of rural England were taken over by the military and transformed in the process. Well, for a special edition of Farm Today, Vernon Hall is telling the story.
As the 80th anniversary of the Normandy landings draws near, I'll be here at the D-Day Story Museum in Portsmouth to discover the role farms and farmers played in the build-up to the Allied invasion.
In the auction, there were British troops, but some of them would actually help my grandfather on the farm, and so they would help my grandfather with haymaking. This was May, and it was hot. It was before the weather changed.
The Americans had turned Mr. Tolstoy's barn into a theatre, and we used to watch films on Sundays.
This was bloody old-fashioned Georgian farmhouse here, a duck pond and a large old-fashioned orchard. In 2 days, the whole lot was bulldozed flat. A runway a mile long was built right through the middle.
You can hear more of all that with Vernon Hall on Monday morning at 5:45 on BBC Radio 4. This week saw the Prime Minister announce the date for the general election on the 4th of July, so campaigning is now well and truly in full swing. Some would argue that all the main political parties have been wooing the farming and rural vote for months now. Rishi Sunak was the first Prime Minister in 16 years to appear at the NFU conference this spring. Labour is promising a rural crime strategy, and the Lib Dems say they put an extra £1 billion into farming budgets. Well, according to the Rural Service Network, 40% of constituencies are rural, and that rural vote will be a key battleground, especially in light of the recent local elections. Conservatives had their worst results in years. Phil Clark is news editor at the Farmers Weekly. As Graham asked him how important the rural vote will be on July 4th.
Well, I think it's fair to say that it's going to be pretty important role. A lot of the rural seats are marginal, so the parties will drive for the votes that they get. Sometimes that is it. Farmers as a share of the population, but within those rural communities, there's a ancillary industries that depend on agriculture. So the farmer voice is important.
What will be the big issues for farmers in rural communities in the election?
Let's say that. I'm just thinking of things that are there at the moment and in the last couple of years. Things obviously is farm support, the changes that have been basically to do with how farm support is going to be paid. And there's a lot of other issues as well. border controls again. We've had 3 years of under traffic with imports coming in from Europe pretty much limited and full checks on our exports. We've just started checks on imports, fairness in the supply chain. I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's about farming becoming profitable again, and any party that can convince farmers that they have the answers to returning a decent slice of the cake back to farmers is possibly going to be available.
Phil Clark there from Farmers Weekly. Well, our Farming Today inbox is already full to overflowing with press releases from countryside, farming and environmental groups telling us what they want from the next government. Brace yourselves, we will be covering all of the issues you want to hear about between now and the 4th of July. But to kick off our election coverage, we thought it'd be interesting to hear from some actual farmers. What do they want from the next government? Farming is, of course, a devolved issue, so this election won't directly affect agriculture in Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. So in Ireland, we'll be heading to a election in Herefordshire and the fields of Essex. But we start in Cumbria, in a barn on a small upland farm near Preston, with John Atkinson, a 6th generation beef and sheep farmer.
I just want things to be much simpler. It's just so complicated at the moment. There's so much mix-up of information, and big farms can employ somebody to sift through all the offers, where a small farm is just completely lost. They've got lots of different other things to do, and like me, a lot of them are dyslexic, so all these numbers and abbreviations and stuff, it's just gobbledygook. So simplification. Yeah, and I'd like a new government to support small farmers better. They're a vital part of the community, especially in rural areas like we live in, where, you know, in effect they're the 5th emergency service. They help lots of people. They keep the schools going, the shops going and everything, and some help for the smaller farmer would be really good. The climate crisis is really important, obviously, for everybody, and lots of farmers like ourselves who really want to help. There just needs to be less restrictions in how you can help and more fluidity, so that each farmer can pick their own options of how they're going to help, rather than saying, oh well, you've got to have X amount of trees, or you've got to reduce X amount of sheep. Just make it much more fluid, so each farmer can choose how they're going to help.
Cumbria. So now to the border of Herefordshire and Worcestershire, where it was raining, we spoke to Frick Brown.
I'd like to see the next government continue the very positive approach that we've seen in the last few months in relation to the production of British fruit and vegetables. It's really important that the next government continues to deliver on the detail of doubling the funding for horticulture, of providing us with further detail on the continuation of the seasonal workers scheme, and most importantly on the investment in orchards that has just been promised at last week's Farm for Forward Summit.
It's Guy Smith. I'm an arable farmer in the East Essex coast, where we specialise in growing milling wheat alongside oilseeds and pulses. And increasingly I have a lot of fields tied up in government environmental schemes where I receive financial incentive to reduce absolutely no food whatsoever. If you want to know what that noise is in the background, that's our combine harvester, which we're servicing in preparation for harvest, which is just a few weeks away in July, just like the forthcoming general election. I'd like to see this new government be far more informed in its thinking, with a better understanding of the global and historical context for farmers in the field. Above all, I'd like to see some proper impact analysis done on what policy change does for UK food production. The brutal fact is that if government reduces support for food production, it ties us up in red tape and exposes us to international trade deals based on an unlevel playing field, then it will simply offshore our food security and our global responsibilities in terms of climate change and natural environment. And finally, anyone with soils running with about, they will definitely get one.
I don't think anyone's promising that quite yet. Guy Smith there in the Essex field. Do let us know what you'd like to hear from the parties on the issues. You can email us via farming.today@bbc.uk or on X, it's Twitter, @BBC4Today. That's it from us. I'm Sean Smith. The studio manager is Lisa Eden, and the producer in Bristol is Beatrice Fenton.
Little reference
reference to the weather there a few moments ago. But look at today's weather forecast now. Elizabeth Wilson is with us. Elizabeth.
Good morning. Yes, I can't see the weather out either. It's quite a nice day though today. I have to say the best looking day of the bank holiday weekend for the vast majority of us. There will be some sunny spells and just a bit more cloud developing at times. A couple of exceptions to that. So we're sandwiched between two weather fronts, one out towards the east, one out towards the northwest. So for parts of Norfolk, for Lincolnshire, parts of the East Midlands as well, there will be some outbreaks of rain today and plenty of cloud across many states in East Anglia as well as we head through this morning. And further west, then for the southwest of England, more cloud. An Atlantic front is slowly pushing further eastwards. There will be some outbreaks of like patchy rain here, I think, through the afternoon, and then that rain will move from southwest England up through southern Western Wales, I think, by the time we get to the end of the day. For Northern Ireland, then it's a largely sunny start, but it is going to be a cloudy afternoon. Any rain here probably won't arrive until after dark. But for most of us, yes, the chance of 1 or 2 isolated showers, but it's mostly dry, and there will be a lot of sunshine around. It will feel warm too in the best of the sunshine. Winds are light. Top temperatures between 17 and 21 degrees, which is slightly above the 6-mile range. Now tonight, those fronts continue to push further northwards, so for much of the UK it's cloudy, outbreaks of rain as well. A messy picture really, some of the rain heavy towards the south, and those tonight at 9 to 12 degrees Celsius. Now tomorrow, disappointing start. Much of the northern half of the UK cloudy, outbreaks of rain on and off throughout the day. Much of the southern half, sunny spells and heavy thundery showers. They'll be quite slow moving as well, so they could last for some time. Temperatures a little lower tomorrow, highs of 16 to 18 degrees Celsius for the vast majority.
Next week, Paddy O'Connell will be retelling the story of D-Day while promoting a event. All of the tunnel, as far as you could see, within the trees.
On June the 6th, 1944, around 7,000 boats carried more than 130,000 troops to 5 beaches in France.
Directions and frightened to death.
It changed the course of history.
Whoever jumped it down, I don't know.
80 years on, we hear the real stories of D-Day from those who survived it.
It was carnage.
D-Day, The Last Voices, presented by me, Paddy O'Connell. This Monday to Friday morning at 11:45. Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.
This is Radio 4 on FM on BBC Sounds and on your smart speaker. Good morning, it's 7 o'clock on Saturday the 25th of May. This is today, just read the Sunday. The headlines this morning: Michael Gove has become the high-profile Conservative MP to announce he won't be standing at the general election. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt and declared her shadow Rachel Reeves are considering their economic credentials. Also in Facebook, we're now at a bit of policy rather than politics. The funding of adult social care is something that is broken and needs to be fixed. We hear from the front lines of the care system, the costs being borne by families.
My brother has Parkinson's and we're now currently paying £1,770 more or less a week. It's a real way of left, I think.
So how can social care be funded fairly? What should politicians be thinking of doing? Discussing through and from Debussy's Le Maire to Mozart's Magic Flute, where mathematical sequence holds the secret to our enjoyment of the classical breaks.
I'm Sarah Orchard with your Saturday Sport, and it's a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final, City against United, with United boss Eric Ten Hag preparing his side, knowing weather reports that he'll be sacked no matter what comes out are true.
The Housing Secretary, Michael Gove, has said a new generation should lead after he added his name to the growing list of Conservative MPs who are standing down at the general election. Mr Gove was first elected in Surrey Heath in 2005 and has held a number of senior posts in government. The former leadership contender Dame Andrea Leadsom has also said she won't stand in July. Here's our political correspondent, Harry Farmer.
Michael Gove's resume as Cabinet Minister is extensive. Since 2010, he's been Education Secretary, Justice Secretary, Environment Secretary, Chief Rep, Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, and Housing Secretary. He was seen by many in Westminster as an effective minister, including by some Labour MPs. In a resignation letter to his local Conservative Party chairman, Mr Gove said he was proud of his record. He highlighted in particular his education reforms, which he said were designed to build a country where everyone, no matter their background, can become the authors of their own life stories. Mr Gove made a point of praising the Prime Minister, saying he exemplified the best virtues of our party. And he, and now also Dame Andrea Leadsom, join a growing list of nearly 80 Tory MPs jumping ship ahead of the election.
The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, has said the Conservative Party's manifesto will include a promise to reduce taxes on working people. Labour's also stressing its economic credentials, with the Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, saying spending must be kept under control. Our political correspondent, Hannah Miller, has more details.
In an interview with the Daily Telegraph, Jeremy Hunt promises to build on 2 cuts already made to national insurance, saying his party's manifesto will focus on tax cuts that boost growth. He also suggests he'll seek to lower the taxes paid by people earning between £100,000 and £125,000, who pay a greater proportion of their income in tax than even higher earners. Labour describes the national insurance pledge as unfunded. The Shadow Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is seeking to reassure voters about her party's plans, writing in the Daily Mail that she'll never play fast and loose with your money. She promises tough spending rules so we can grow our economy and keep taxes, inflation and mortgages as low as possible.
Parties hoping to form the next government have been given a stark warning of the financial challenges they'll face. The independent think tank, the Institute for Fiscal Studies, is calling for an open and robust discussion about how the parties will tackle them. Here's our chief economics correspondent, Darshini David.
These comments are a reminder that pledges from any party will be made against the background. In some public services of more than 10% in coming years. The IFS says the next government will likely face 3 broad choices: to see through those spending cuts, enact further tax rises, or borrow and risk debt continuing to rise.
MPs and peers last night approved the final pieces of legislation to become law before the election. The bill was passed to enable compensation to be paid to victims of the contaminated blood scandal, and plans to help leaseholders in England and Wales also went through. The bills to help renters and to gradually ban smoking would rot. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is ready to commit the UK to backing an American plan to use seized Russian assets to provide financial assistance to Ukraine. He'll raise the matter at a meeting of G7 finance ministers today in Italy. Here's our economics editor, Faisal Islam.
For a year, Western nations have been trying to find ways to use $350 billion of assets frozen from the Russian government in order to help fund Ukraine's defence and reconstruction. The process has been legally fraught. The original US plan simply to seize the money has been shelved. Today, however, the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, will commit the UK to backing its share, about £3 billion, of a $50 billion loan to Ukraine. The money will be repaid by the profits and interest earned on the seized assets over a number of years. The plan requires sign-up from continental Europe, where Germany and France have been sceptical of the precedents set by asset seizures. Some financiers fear the unintended consequences have been seen to weaponise the financial system.
A child has died after falling from a block of flats in southeast London. Police say they're trying to establish how it happened. Simon Jones reports.
The child fell from the upper floor of a flat in Kennington just before 4:30 yesterday afternoon and was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say there is nothing to indicate that the incident was suspicious, but their inquiries are continuing. Cordons have remained in place overnight. Details of the child's age or gender have not been released, and the local MP, Florence Echeloni, suggested the victim was a boy. She wrote on social media, "My thoughts are with his family at this sad time." Last week, a 5-year-old Alan Ahmed died when he fell from a kitchen window on the 15th story of the Tower Bridge in East London. The coroner has begun an investigation into his death.
The relatives of those killed in a mass school shooting in Texas are suing the gun manufacturer, the makers of a violent video game, and the social media company Instagram. They claim the companies helped promote dangerous weapons to 18-year-old Salvador Ramos, who killed 19 children and 2 teachers in the town of Uvalde. Our North America correspondent Peter Bowes reports.
The lawsuits are against Activision, the developer of the military video game series Call of Duty, Daniel Defense, the gun manufacturer known for its high-end rifles, and Instagram's parent company Meta. They're accused of being responsible for grooming a generation of young people who live out violent video game fantasies in the real world with easily accessible weapons of war. The lawsuits contend that Meta and Activision knowingly exposed Salvador Ramos to the gun he used in Uvalde and conditioned him to see it as the solution to his problems.
A plant that disappeared from the wild on the UK mainland 60 years ago has been reintroduced. Habitat loss and human activity drove the rosy saxifrage to extinction. Conservation charity Plant Life and the National Trust have worked to reintroduce it to Renault National Park in Wales, where it was last seen. Our science reporter Georgina Rannoch was there when it was replanted.
The rosy saxifrage